Hey guys, welcome to our 2025 Talking Teenies. Cheers. We have
Launching into
Roger
the new
here.
year.
By the way, this is a non-alcoholic
Cheers, babe.
cocktail for Roger since he's been sober for how long?
11 months next
11
That
months
is fabulous.
sober.
And we actually are alcohol free today as well in support of that because I think that's incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's hard to
amazing.
do. So, you know what? It's okay for all of us to be sober with you and support you on that.
I love that.
How hard was that?
I think similar to having massive change in your life, it's a decision. And so I had a lot of things that led up to that moment that when I made the decision, I couldn't look back.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You just hit
That
like a
was-
place.
Yep, I hit an emotional mix of faith and frustration in other places in my life that I said to myself, this was when I reviewed my issues in my life and the problems, the nucleus to all of it was alcohol.
Wow.
That's
And then
incredible.
it just kind of, it was a domino effect to everything
Was
else.
it hard when you're in social environments to like adjust to that? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because when I was younger,
Right.
if I was drinking, sometimes I do that to loosen up and not be in my head and just be more myself.
For sure.
And when you're sober around people that are wasted or
Yeah,
drinking a lot,
right.
now doesn't that get a little annoying?
Yeah, so I think two things to that. So
Yeah.
I think when someone, if they're on the fence of, hey, I want to make this decision, what does that look like? I'm very lucky where when I made this decision, I was public about it. And what happened is not only did I get conflict of kind of those type of questions, I also had people who showed up as resources in my life.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And so one
great.
specifically, shout out to Nicolette, she's someone that is based in Vegas, works in nightlife, and I found out that was sober. And so that was
So
like
she's
the whole,
used to
it was
being around all that.
correct. And so I immediately asked him, like, how are you able to find that middle ground of servicing your clients
Yeah.
and also letting them know you're sober and keeping it that way? And she said something to me that I forever think about, and she's like, it's the verbiage you use to stand up for what you're doing and also remind yourself of why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing something hard, you're going to be faced with friction. You're going to be faced with people kind of coming at you as to, hey, you should be joining me in what I'm doing,
Yeah.
which is for them the easy thing to drink. And so at the time, she said, hey, tell people you're on a cleanse. People never fight that.
That's so
Nice.
true.
And so I go, wow, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Because then it's like people are like, oh, what is it about? Now they're
Right.
curious. Now they're
Yeah.
going to stand in it and they're asking more questions.
Sometimes it makes them want to
Correct.
stop drinking too and go on
Yeah,
the cleanse, like
yeah.
the keto diet that we
Yeah.
were just all
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
I'll tell you a great story that then I said, okay. And she said, and then over time, you're just going to declare, I don't drink. So, okay, I'm going to do that. Lo and behold, not even 48 hours later, I'm probably 2-3 months in. And I had a good close friend of mine from New York City, who's also another infamous promoter and nightlife guy. And he goes, hey, come out. And I'm like, I was on the fence. And then I said to myself, you know what? I am, because I want to be social. And at that point, I think it was like 2 months of not socializing. And I was like, that's just not my innate personality.
Right.
We walk into the club. The first thing that happens, we get there, the guys are hyped, and they go, who wants a shot? And I'm
Oh, every
standing
time.
there.
It always is the shot.
Yeah, and I go like this, and the guy puts it in my face,
Uh-huh.
and I played it in my head. I was going to say, I'm on a cleanse, and I go, no. I go, I don't drink.
Okay, good.
So that was the first time you said it.
And how did he react to
Incredible.
that?
I'm very lucky where that scenario, two things happened. The gentleman who's feeding it to me, who I didn't know, who then I found out, he goes, I don't drink either.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Then the guy
So
to my
that's
right,
awesome.
who I was just met 10 seconds before
Yeah.
walking to the club, who was our mutual through Adam,
Yeah.
he looks at it and he puts it down. He goes, well, if you're not drinking, why am I?
Oh, wow.
See, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah. And
That's
so there was in
influence.
that moment that I realized that I need to now continuously declare it,
Yeah.
Right.
not just for me, but for other people.
Right.
Right. And then I just realized then it's the verbiage that you use. So then people say, why aren't you drinking?
Right.
So it took me a little while to find those things, but after 6 months, when I hit my 6 month kind of, sobriety, as you would call it, or kind of personal commitment to myself, I analyzed the 5 things and why did I choose to do it. Was number 1, my relationship with God. Number 2, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my finances. And I'll say it here, I think publicly I said relationship with a partner, but it was really my mom and love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I brought it up already, my fitness, my family, my friendships.
Yeah. And your faith.
Yeah, and my faith.
I love that.
And when I went to that place, I then realized, all right, I'm going to commit not only to myself, but to those other places. And I'm very, very, very blessed. I can say my life has changed beyond what I
With
can
everything.
imagine.
I mean, your social life, the health. I mean, for one, right now, your skin looks amazing.
You do. You can truly tell, and it's wild as we are getting older.
Yeah.
My friends that don't drink, they look completely different than I do.
You can kind of see it in your eyes, though. Like, I feel like people that are sober, completely.
You look
good
glowy.
skin, good.
Yes.
The white part in their eyes are just like.
I'm just having you guys in my pocket.
It
Like
looks-
having a bad day. Tell me more.
I know. Boost your ego.
And I think this generation is really doing a great job adjusting to this. The more I'm starting to feel like I don't really have to have these conversations too often about like even vaping is kind of like simmered down, smoking. Not a lot of people in Miami are smoking anymore. I think that it's really neat that our generation has kind of been this like new open eyes to what it feels like to be sober, to really put that energy out there and to say it comfortably with confidence. I don't drink. I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to do this thing. And I think it's becoming way more kind of the norm. Honestly, don't you?
I said that yesterday to a friend. The not drinking is becoming the cool thing now.
It is, which hallelujah.
And when would
our parents
this
are all
have ever happened? You know what I mean? Like back then, it was like, oh, it was cool in the 70s to do a bunch of, ecstasy and
acid
and acid.
It all has its like peak and
it
then
just everything comes in
health
style
is-
and goes out.
Outside
Health
of
is
alcohol, the thing that I also gave up was soda, smoking.
You smoked.
Yeah, I didn't know you
What?
smoked.
Hookah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had a hookah.
I thought
in my house.
cigarettes.
Lines. There's no lines on his
Yeah.
face.
It was hookah. Yeah, I just loved it, and it was part of the social scene that I was in, where, especially Miami nightlife, having a hookah at your table.
Yeah.
And so I gave up those things as well. And I think a part that needs to be shared about my story that I don't talk about is that, man, those 30 days.
The first.
I can't even imagine.
I still remember. I did something. I'm very lucky. Again, I've realized that when you're making a decision to change your life, it's not that one thing that you do. It's the culmination of things.
Sure.
And so one of the pieces was I referenced earlier was the verbiage. So I had someone in my life that was educating me on the verbiage to then be using to proclaim my new faith and kind of my new stepping stone to my life.
Yeah.
Someone else came into my life who really was the wake up call. You know him, Vince Ritchie.
Oh, Vince, yeah.
And he sat me down back into. I still
And he's
remember the
sober
day.
too, right?
He's never drank or smoked in his life.
That's incredible.
It's crazy, just like Trump.
Trump.
Yeah.
Never has.
Like,
Yeah. And so December 17th, I still remember the day. December 17th, 2023.
yeah.
We're in Vegas. It was the last stop of the world's largest toy drive. He calls me into his room before we got to dinner. He sits me down, and at this point, we had a business relationship, not personal. So for him to talk to me like this, it was like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
But then it came earlier off the pod. We spoke about a lot of the times messaging may be from someone that may not be close to you, or for someone you've known for a long time.
Absolutely.
But if they have a good intention for your life and they're speaking life into you, you should listen.
Oh, 1,000%.
sure.
And so
It's
he
more
was one of
meaningful.
those vital people that said to me, "Hey, I've been watching you operate for the past 2.5 weeks. You were, I'll sit here. I was working all day and I was going out all night, and I did that in every city." And he said, "You can continue doing this and living that life, but it's very short-lived.
Yeah.
And what you'll find is the constant kind of battle within yourself of like you're just cruising."
Yeah.
And he's like, you live a pretty good life. And he's like breaking down all the things that I'm aware of, but reminding me of from who I work with. I'm so lucky to work alongside Dan, to the people I have in my life, to the people I get to call clients who are also friends, the experiences I have. And he's like, but then you choose to just punt it by staying out late, not going to the gym, deciding, all the things. I said, he's like, I'm seeing how you eat.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I think when someone's trying to break you down, you say to yourself, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Why should I listen to him? But then weeks later, I then reflected and then realized that's one of the best things that could have happened to me.
Isn't that
someone
incredible?
like that, that someone like that spoke to me.
I love that Vince is that just straightforward and
Yeah.
real and blunt. We're going to get him on the show. In fact,
He's great.
next time we should do another show with both of you guys
Yeah,
on here
that would be fun.
because
And hear his
He's great.
perspective on that too.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a neat message that you just shared with everybody because I think oftentimes like there's friends or family members that I might need to sit down with and have these they're hard conversations to have. But you're evidence of what those conversations can produce.
Exactly.
And I think it's incredible to share that because people don't think that way.
No.
They think if I go and I say to you, look, this is becoming problematic and I can see it, you know, you're going to ditch me as a friend. You're going to be like, I don't want to be friends with you. Like, you're judging me or it's feeling judgy in here when really I just want to help you.
Yeah.
You know?
Where the places where it comes from definitely matters. Because I also had signals, like my sister called me out on it a couple times where I was like, you know, I had other people, hey, like your face is starting to look a bit bloated or you're eating a lot.
Yeah, you'll be puffy.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, if I showed you, I save it on my, I look at it very often. There's just 2 photos I have, or 3, that I look at myself and was like, I will never go.
Well, I was seeing, because when I met you, were you sober yet? I don't think you were.
No, you two
when I first
you two have known each other how long?
Oh, God.
Long time, right?
Not that long, actually.
Okay.
I knew his friend Dan forever, for years.
She's known Dan forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dan
Dan's
is the one that he's known me since I was like,
over
God,
Brand new baby.
20.
Yeah.
But and actually, because Ashley doesn't really know anything about like the work you do and everything, can you give her and
Yeah,
the audience?
I'm learning too. Like,
Yeah.
And they're both from LA, so that's how you guys met, right?
Yeah.
Is in Los Angeles.
Actually, I was born here.
You were
He
born
was
here.
born here.
That's why all your
Yeah.
family's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you are now out there, and now you came out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
But you
there's a
know
part
each
about
other.
that. I was in New York for 8 years too.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
did not know that.
So I'll give you like with Dan, like a 2-minute bio.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
Yeah, but
creative
I want to hear
director
this.
For the past decade, I've been lucky enough where at 18 I made the decision to go to my undergraduate school in New York, Iona University in New Rochelle. And then around that time, going into my senior year, Gatorade put a camera in my hand.
Nice.
And then I started doing for everything in the school. So if there's someone, I think this is so important. If you're not sure about something and you're like on the fence, start with just doing it with your friends and family. And that's what I did with the camera. And I did with the fraternity, the school. I wasn't getting paid, but I was getting experience.
Sure.
Putting in those like steps and building my confidence or portfolio. And then that got attention of the gym. And then the gym made me the head of marketing and social. And then after a year of working with them, had #1 gym in Westchester. They had the head trainer was named a Lululemon ambassador, who's now one of my best friends.
That's incredible.
He was also someone vital in my career who spoke life into me before I had actual photos. He's like, "You're the best," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Kid you not, I swear he was.
But we need those people.
He would tell me that, and I was like, "Dude, you're nuts! Like I haven't even done anything."
Yeah.
And now looking back on it, when I say I'm working with this way, he's like, I'm not surprised. And so time went on, and so I had the chance to really put my foot on the ground and be involved in Westchester as a whole. And then I realized I wanted to do athletes, so I got to work with a handful of fun athletes like Patrick Mahomes when he first won his MVP trophy. I was in Atlantic City with him. I had a contract with XL Sports. I was working with the top NBA draft prospects. But then with them, I realized it was seasonal. It was really cool on the social end, so that to be seen and be like,
good
I'm working with
experience
this.
though.
Good experience, but it was very minimal. And I was like, wait, what about the other 9 months? And then I went to a seminar, these business master seminar. I attended one. It was March 30th. I remember the day like yesterday, or March 28th. Let's call it 29th. Tampa, Florida. I'm down in Tampa, Florida, filming. He was also one of my close friends, Casey Adams, a very successful young hustler, entrepreneur, investor. And I go out with him, and there's a gentleman to his right named Dan Fleischman. Dan slides me a stick, exactly. Dan the money man.
Yeah.
And he then asked me to film him. I've shared the story a couple of times with him, but he heard it for the first time during my workshop actually.
Oh, funny.
That's funny.
Which was he asked me to film him, but I couldn't afford a lav mic.
Oh,
so I didn't have one. So there was a kid in the back of the room
Yeah.
who I just met. It was another video guy. It's almost like girls with their purses and shoes. Like,
Uh-huh.
hey, camera guy. Hey, what camera do you
That
use?
is
You
so
know?
funny. Like
Yeah,
girls
yeah,
with
yeah.
purses and shoes,
Yeah.
like
So
guys with their
true. So
clever
funny.
Yeah,
toys.
they're like, what are you working with there?
Oh
You know,
my
like-
god.
And so then he's like, I was like, hey, my lav doesn't work. Can I use yours?
Yeah.
But I never used the setup.
Oh.
Never touched it. Had no idea.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
And so I'm
shit.
joking.
So
and I'm
And
like,
Dan's
oh.
like the best contact
Yeah.
to have in his
Yeah, so I'm
like
joking,
he
and I'm
wants
telling-
to work for him.
I'm telling this guy, I'm like, hey, you put this one on this, and you put that. And he's looking at it. I was like, hey, this is how you turn it on. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm just messing with you, bro.
Oh,
Meanwhile, he was teaching
funny.
me, but he had no idea.
Okay, but
And
that's
so-
funny.
But this is like seconds.
Yeah,
So
you gotta fake
in
it
the
to
moment-
make it.
Absolutely. This is
Even
good.
when the mic was on him, I had no idea if it was on.
Oh shit.
And so I'm recording. I'm in the front. I didn't even have a tripod. I was holding
Yeah.
it like this. My shoulders were like this. Like
Oh
that.
my
I was just like
God.
that, holding it in the
I
front.
can't. This gives me anxiety just
Please
thinking
just
about
hold
it.
Until the end of it, I say to myself, you say, hey, no editing, just send it to my editor. So
Oh,
here's an email,
nice.
but then I think to myself, how can I make a great impression? And I think some other great life lessons, like in life, if you just do what's expected, you'll just get by.
Absolutely.
But if you do what's more, that's where the doors open.
Yeah.
So did
So-
you offer to edit?
And so, no, I didn't offer, I did it.
You just did it.
And that's the difference
You
too.
just did it. Bingo. Yeah.
And I would say that's the biggest thing that I see with Dan, hearing him and learning from him.
Yeah.
I say to him, like, how do you decide what to invest in? He goes, 90% of them don't even do what they're saying they're going to do, so that wipes out most. And so for me, in that moment, I was like, I wanted to prove myself, so I did a video, captions the whole thing, and this is before the apps would do it in 30 seconds. Like, this I was manually doing it. This was 6 years ago.
Extremely.
Yeah, so it was like, and you're reading it and doing it one by one, and I sent it to him, I got his number, and he loved it, he posted it. And then the doors, the way they just started running, it was insane. He started introducing me to everyone, and I started working with
What a
amazing
great contact,
talent
too.
and people. And then fast forward July of 2020, I moved out to LA to start working for him full time.
That's incredible.
Been there ever since.
And what a story, because
Yeah, I know.
so often I think so many people are just bobbing through life, wondering if and when that opportunity is going to be there. And again, like going back to the messaging, did you expect to meet him that day and have that opportunity knock on your door?
If I even told, this is a whole episode within itself. If I told you how I got to that room,
Everything was a little stepping stone, right?
no, it was
Just like a random.
I told Elena Cardone, I wanted, so at that point, this was back in 2019, 18, we had a lot of mutual relationships, and I was doing, I was running marketing for a gym in New York City that one of the investors of that family was helping Grant Cardone with stuff, so I had gotten in the mix with Grant and Elena. I told Elena on the texting base, hey Elena, I'm in Miami on Tuesday, I would love to have you in my pod. I was in New York, and I chose Tuesday because it was the cheapest day to fly.
Yeah.
I was in New York.
True.
And she goes, perfect, let's do it, 11 a.m. in my office. I go, great. The other part she doesn't know is that I didn't have a camera crew. This is I'm talking about 2019. Like,
this
we're
is
figuring it
podcast.
out.
This is just like now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm figuring it out, and so I call my cousin and a friend who has one camera. My cousin has an iPhone, and we're just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I go down with my best friend Frankie, who's the owner of the gym, co-owner of that space. We walk into the space. She goes, oh, don't worry about your camera crew. We're gonna use my studio. Keep in mind, that's not a crew. This is my cousin and a girl with a camera.
Okay.
Yeah. And so in the moment, I'm like, that's great. I was like,
You guys are free today. Go to lunch.
And then she goes,
This is like meant to be though, because you
Yeah.
keep running into these crazy ass situations and you're just making
yeah.
it work.
And so then she goes, the only thing I want to promote my books, we gotta put and I go, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, put it on
Whatever
the walls,
yes.
the books there. So I have photos, I'll show you after. And so we go through the pod, we shoot in this stunning studio.
Yeah.
Like, their studio is insane. And we finish up, and Casey Adams gives me a call, hey, there's an event in Tampa, I see you're in Miami, can you come with me? I'm like, at that time I was corner of a barbershop that I'd opened with him, and I was like, I need to get back. And there was another pivotal moment of Frankie goes, hey man, look up the list, maybe it's someone you'll meet that could change your life.
Yeah.
He said those like in that kind of verbiage. And so I look up the list, and it was an insane list. It was Social X, and I see the list of speakers, everyone, a lot of the people that I'm still very close with today. And I said, yeah, but I don't know, dude, I have no money. How are we gonna get there? He's a firefighter from New York, his full-time job. And he goes, dude, I found this thing, we can rent a car for $30 for 2 days. We don't have a hotel. So we show up to this place with no room.
Oh shit.
Casey then says, hey, the guy I was gonna share a room with, he's like older, and he's like, I'm not gonna share a room with someone. He's like, you could take the other bed in my room.
Oh, thank God. Wow,
crazy.
meant to be.
It
That
is.
was meant
And
to
then
be.
and then this story gets you. And so after I finished filming Dan, the next day there was a gentleman who was speaking by the name of Nick Santanastasso.
Yeah.
He has one arm with one finger and no limbs. I didn't see he had a camera guy, so I ended up filming, hitting it off with him and his team.
Wow.
I even filmed a podcast for him and Casey and Nick.
Wow.
And then the next day, I meet Valeria Orsini, who's a very close friend of mine. She's here based in Miami. Nick and his team. And there was someone else Michael Gonzalez from Fit Tea.
wow.
Yeah, there was
Oh my
there
God,
was
I
a
remember that.
crew of people that I still speak to today that are there. And the person that threw the event at the time I wasn't close with, now one of my best friends, Justin, who put it all together.
That's incredible.
48 hours later from that event, Nick, who I met there, says, hey, I'm meeting two guys by the name of Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. They're throwing the first event in St. Louis. Can you come to St. Louis?
That's where she's from.
So I flew to that.
Yeah.
And I did that.
What year was this?
2019.
2019.
March, April.
What was
March,
it
April.
for?
His first ever.
Like the first form thing?
No, his private mastermind group. The syndicate group he
okay.
has, yeah. That was the first ever one.
Because now, if you guys don't know, he's got a massive podcast.
Yeah,
and it's huge.
So another crazy thing is my best friend
CEO
and
like
my best friend and I were on his podcast back in 2017, 2018 because we were only listening to him and applying everything he was saying to his business, and me just taking the leap of faith over and over and over. So, and then as life may be, Dan has a close relationship with him, been to St. Louis endless of times. He's a true leader, community voice.
Yeah.
And someone who I very much admire and respect.
Yeah, that's great. Look at that St.
That's
Louis.
I know.
This real cool story.
Yeah, and that's only it just kept going.
Yeah.
And I think another part we spoke about it off the pod and briefly is like when you're doing the right things, there's endless green lights.
Absolutely.
And it's just like you just need to go.
You just go.
Just go.
And that's what I want people to learn that. They need to figure that out because if you just listen to what you're being told by the energies in the world and the universe and you just go, you'll figure it out when you get
life's
there.
kind of presenting it to you too. Or you gotta, also I really love that, you're really focusing on your health, the fitness, which I can't wait to talk about too because
we definitely gotta get into that.
The fitness.
Yeah.
But it really does help you every morning wake up feeling refreshed and not hungover, and your mind's clear.
Yeah.
Your mind's clear.
You see a lot of things maybe you wouldn't have seen.
Even in people though, even the circles you're around.
Absolutely.
By the way, are you single now? Are you dating or what's your love life like? I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm single.
Okay. Are you ready to mingle, or are you just more like?
So I don't never want to deny a blessing in my life.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna say no, but I will say that my attention is on my faith, my family, my fitness, and my finances. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm very
That's
much
exactly
aware.
When she'll show over. He'll show over.
It's like I also know, and I'm very much aware of. I need to be the best man I could be.
Yeah.
So when she meets me, she's like, "How am I not with him?"
Mm-hmm.
That's always how it works.
And so I, like anyone else, I think we all go through it. Even last night, I was randomly DMing a friend of mine and asking her for like just getting a hint of like dating and the conversation. It's definitely lingering.
Okay.
But it's not something that I'm saying it's a focus in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm also wearing and acknowledging if something or someone, I should say.
If it happens naturally too, and it just you guys click, and I think you'll feel it too. You'll know when that girl's literally the one because
I know that part.
It's gonna be easy.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Jokingly, a neighborhood I've been obsessed with lately, Sunset Harbor here on the beach.
Yeah.
And so, just the other day, I took a soul heated yoga class. It's soul yoga, and I called one of my close girlfriends, and I said, I was like, my wife was in that class.
Oh, funny.
And I was just like,
so the eyes are open. The eyes are peeled.
But I just think, and I say that in a way of noticing that I believe if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, she'll be on my path.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and so even that day, here's a great example how I got to that class. It was for last week. I was training with a friend of mine, ran into another friend, ends up being like a group thing now. My old roommate from LA, all that anatomy. This is all happening while we're working out. Run into friends, we're hanging out. Then we saw a cold plunge. There's that 10-second window of people exiting and you coming out of the locker.
Yeah.
And you'll see someone. And I run into someone who 3 days ago I asked to do yoga with, Skylar. He runs Socialista and part of other. He's a local guy who's helped me on like online with like yoga. And when I first got started, he was passing right in front of me. He turns back and says, "Hey, it was 10 o'clock." He was like, "I'm jumping into an 11 o'clock class. Come." And then I went to that class.
And then your future wife was in there.
Yeah.
See, watch the craziest thing will happen. We'll like walk out of here and she'll just like walk by.
I know.
Or something.
What we're talking about.
Manifesting this.
I think that's important to know. One of the greatest things that I gained from making the decision not to drink is having clarity, awareness, and presence to know what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
To then sometimes realize the things that I'm praying for, the direct messaging may not be there, but what it is there is people are talking to then for me to be listening, to take that in and having the awareness again to accept that. And see, that's my signal or that's my sign of like, hey, what I'm doing is not only right, but it's like who I'm with. And the verbiage that they're using.
Oh, for sure.
I think it becomes effortless in a way if you just trust. And I think that's where your spiritualism is so in your core. And that's why mine is too. Because, and I don't know about you personally, if that's where it came from, just from if you really just kind of function, it happens.
Yeah.
If you're doing the right stuff and you're being authentically you.
Yeah.
You know, it's you are a very passionate person.
Yeah.
You're
So
very passion focused.
But question though, so would you, because you are sober now, would you still date and take someone serious that is not?
Great question.
Yeah.
Because
that's a great question.
what if the woman really is just absolutely amazing, has great soul,
Yeah.
she's not an alcoholic, she just socially does it every now and then. Are you okay with that, or do you prefer someone that's clean like you?
Yeah, that's actually something I'm really on the fence on right now.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And a great question, Melissa.
Because I think that
it's important.
Yeah.
Like,
I think a lot of the times that I fight it is because I think it's an activity that doesn't serve you. And if you're with someone who makes a decision to do an activity that you don't align with, then I'm creating conflict in my life.
Right.
And so a saying that I'm living by and I keep telling myself is like, I can't be mad at the clown when I went to the circus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how would I, if I knew going into the relationship she loved happy hour, how can I be mad at her when that's something she was doing before me?
Exactly.
And so I think
because then you would kind of almost like, she would probably feel like she needs to change for you instead of for herself.
Correct.
You know, because that could happen too.
Which I also believe that could be an
It could be,
ideology
but
that happens a lot.
adapt.
That happens a lot. I feel like a lot of my friends.
But I do believe though the baseline of it, if she's as obsessed with her personal development as I am, it won't be a thing.
It wouldn't, yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a make or break, but I just believe an example is if we're out, let's say Friday, and we're having dinner, she looks over at me and she's like, hey, we should get home because we have 9 a.m. Pilates. Like something like that. You know what I mean? That verbiage.
I love that you laid that out that way. Like it's really there. So you put some thought into this.
Yeah, he did.
And I think that's really important. And I think that's a question a lot of viewers are going to have. That if they do go down this route and they've been thinking about becoming sober and giving up alcohol, is this something they're going to have to deal with? And it absolutely is.
But it could be a good change too, because like for instance, her brother, you know, that I'm married to, he's complete opposite of me. Like he is a homebody, like more like
he doesn't
introvert.
like alcohol.
He doesn't like alcohol, and I was like, you know, throwing parties and a socialite in LA and like all over, you know, everywhere and loving to meet people and connect people and all this stuff. We were so opposite. I was like, I think he is a little too vanilla for me, and he was telling his mom and family like she might be too crazy for me.
He never said that.
He did to your mom.
Not to me. Well, because here you
but me and her
we're
are
like
exactly
twins
the same.
with personalities.
Literally,
so
we are the same.
That's probably what he said to me.
Yeah.
She's just like, she
yeah, exactly. So, but
But
what's
I
funny is it changed my personality, and for the better though, because now I'm calm, and now he's more.
Yeah, he came up a little, she came down a little.
So you never know, like you just never know.
Yeah, but that's one attribute I know she needs to have, which is to be ready to run with me, box with me, rock climb with me.
Oh, for sure. I don't see you even dating somebody who's not
super gonna have that.
That's just like the
physical.
big component of my life, which I find to be the definitive word. It's just like I feel like I'm definitely adventurous, I guess, to a certain degree.
You are very adventurous.
I don't like to use that word because my younger brother is an extreme adventurous.
But
so
you're very adventurous. Like I'm a Midwest girl, and the stuff that I see you doing, I'm like,
I know. Wait, didn't you tell us before we started the podcast today that you were gonna go on this swim, this like in the ocean?
Tell us this. We should get into that.
Yeah.
Because let's talk about your new goals and moving forward, what you are doing.
Yeah. So I think it's two parts. When we were talking about the dating, you're like, oh, you have thought about this. A term that I'm living by, and it helped me in 2024, and I think it'll help people in 2025, is like, don't live your life by default, but live it by design. And so when you start to outline the things that are important to you, you then process them and play them out.
Right.
And maybe not be the exact words or verbiage, but the idea is like you have the scenario kind of baseline of, all right, this is, if I were to make this decision, this is how it should be played out.
Yeah.
So yes, I've played out my partner in kind of the activities that I desire for her to have for when we're in situations that I expect her to go. An example would be if she sees people taking a ton of shots, is she the one pouring it or is she the one drinking water? Like playing out, because I know that where it's going to lead.
Absolutely.
And so then I'm not caught off guard.
Right.
And then a certain level of expectation for myself of like, again, I just realized this, all the problems in my life are my fault because I allowed it or I didn't make the decision to be in the right room or leave.
Right.
And so it's like there's no one else to blame but me. So a lot of the times it's that. And so
I love a good self-awareness talk.
Yeah.
I love a good self-awareness.
And so
it makes me happy.
yeah, and so for 2025, Jesse Itzler, very successful entrepreneur, and just a really cool guy, he speaks about the Misogi year, which is something that's a definitive activity or event that defines your year. So when you look back on your life, you say to yourself, wow, that was something I conquered, that was something I did. So for me, last year was my half marathon. I never ran more than 6 miles in my life. 3 days when I made the decision, I ended up running 13.2, 13.3, whatever it is.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've said that's
Wait,
incredible.
so you
to him
didn't
so many
train
times
for
because you're
this?
incredible.
Oh my
See, that's
God.
incredible. Sorry, I keep
No.
saying it, but
That
that
is
is
hard.
he's doing.
No, but well, at this
It's
part,
amazing.
I then said to myself, I'm going to make a really hard choice. Let me facilitate the thing that'll assist or guide me. So I found out another friend who was on the fence about doing it, who then we did it together.
Oh,
so now I
good.
found community.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I'm very lucky where I had another friend in my life who's like, hey, I can't run 13, but I'll bike next to you with supplies.
See how you're like
You were
motivating people?
Oh, you were
Yeah.
allowed to do that?
That's great.
Well, I don't know if you're allowed.
Oh.
My idea is, my point is, I had always used the excuse of when are we going to sign up? And I
Okay.
go, I am the race.
Yeah.
So I went to the beach. I hit up a friend who runs 10 miles a day. And he goes, go to Venice, take the boardwalk. The end of the boardwalk is exactly, if you start here, the boardwalk is 6 point something. You do a couple laps around the parking lot at the end, and then you come back.
Yeah.
And you'll do a half marathon.
That's
So I
awesome.
literally woke up at 7 a.m., did that, had him in a bike. He had a bike with a basket. And
I need to
filled
put a
it-
basket on my bike.
I had Cliff Bars and electrolytes.
Yeah, smart.
And every hour, I ate half a Cliff Bar and had electrolytes.
Wow.
Keep in mind, I was someone who was already training, so I guess I had that event.
Yeah,
but
your
I
body's
was
already.
Yeah, but it was, I ran a 15 minute, I just ran it. I was like, I need to accomplish it.
You're
And I did.
inspiring me to do this. Like, I just
Yeah.
bought a bike
It's
this
so
weekend because I
inspirational.
wanted to try something, different and
Yeah.
new. So I literally went and bought a bike, and now I'm doing the boardwalk,
Nice.
6 miles.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
it's funny because when your body's not, if we're in the
Yes.
gym, we're doing yoga,
Yes.
like Pilates or whatever, your body is not used to other kinds of outdoor activities.
Things
like
hurt that you didn't know you
Even
had.
when you're doing tennis, I did tennis one day. I was like,
I'm
damn, my
sore.
arm is
Yeah.
killing me.
Yeah.
Sore in weird places I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, but I think that's amazing. And then aren't you doing a swimming thing? Like,
Yeah, so
So please tell me about
so
this.
for the
'cause
my
we're afraid
Misogi
that
This
event-
is crazy.
my Misogi event this year is to train 2 weeks in Thailand, Muay Thai. So that'll be late May,
Nice.
early April.
Oh, I would
That's
love
gonna
to
be
do
beautiful.
that.
And then I went down the rabbit hole of Jesse Itzler and his how he operates in his life. And he says
Yeah.
every 8 weeks he has a mini adventure.
Cool.
And so I used ChatGPT to I outlined all the things that I love and that I'd love to do, and also things that I would now find challenging if I upped it up.
Yeah.
So in February, my first challenge is a 24-hour content creation, just like film and edit as much content as I can in 24 hours.
That's bad.
I gotta see all this.
Yeah,
too.
that's gonna be great.
And
Yeah.
then the next one is going to be, I'm probably messing around with the order here, but the next one is 100 miles on a bike. I've
Wow.
biked only 50 in my life, so I'm going to do 100.
That's
on
insane.
one side of it, yeah.
I love that.
And then another one is my Misogi event, which is training 2 weeks in Thailand. A surf camp in Costa Rica.
Oh, cool.
And so the one
Have
you
you
were
been
saying,
to Costa
no.
Rica? You're gonna love it.
And so the one you were saying, facing a fear, is
Yeah.
open water.
Oh yeah, the
I
ocean.
don't do with ocean. I don't do with sharks.
Not
I
good
don't
with
do
I'm
that.
not.
So
Or
it's a
jellyfish
1 mile.
even. I
Yeah.
didn't even see that.
So it's going to be a 1 mile open
Yeah.
swim.
Wow.
How do you
And
feel
you're gonna
about
do
that?
here?
Yeah, where are you doing that at?
Yeah.
Like, can you do it
I
here?
haven't, I
Can
haven't
you
played that one out yet.
No.
You should
I'm
have her do it
assuming,
with you.
I'm assuming what I would do if I were to like kind of play this out, so it's not putting myself in danger, but also I'm close enough. I would
Yeah.
probably start at Nikki Beach,
Okay.
and I'll be alongside the kind of the shoreline. And I'll
Yeah.
do it really early in the morning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So God forbid if something were to happen, at least there's lifeguards to my
Yeah.
left.
Is that going the whole
Don't
time
let
without
anything
stopping?
Yeah, a mile. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we'll
over
be
the
there
summer-
like rooting you on if you
I
want
know.
cheerleaders.
Actually,
I actually
I
saw a
think you
video.
should do it with
So
him, Ashley. What are you talking
You're
about?
crazy.
He's facing
Yeah.
his fear. You need
Yeah.
to face
There's
yours too.
no way that would ever happen for
I
me.
know. Even saying it out loud, I'm like, yeah.
I'm so proud of
You're
you for
crazy.
Yeah.
even mentally getting where you're at with it
Yeah.
right now, because
Yeah.
I was out deep sea fishing with my kids
Oh,
2
this
days
weekend,
ago,
yeah.
and I was secretly crying in a corner
Should've
because I was
almost died.
absolutely mortified of the
I get it.
swells coming up.
I get
And
it.
I'm like, I don't want to go this way.
Right.
Like, I do know that I don't want to die this way.
Yeah.
So I was mortified. And then I have my kids with me. So then I'm, okay, now I've got my kids. Everything's dying in my brain. We're all going under, the boat's capsizing.
Right.
You're
And
crazy.
it was absolutely awful. And as soon as we got back to the bridge and the calm water, I was like, I looked at my husband and I'm like, never.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah.
Never again. He's like, so you're telling me there's no chance we're not going to catch the bull shark? I'm like, you're never.
By the way, Roger, have you noticed when Ashley talks? Sorry, just
my hands.
She has Trump hands.
So
she does this just like Trump. And I'm like, you're hilarious.
It's like a thing. I've watched him too many times now. Yeah, I do. I'm such a hand.
And her hands are tight.
See, now the whole time, remember when you were in school, you just sit on him? Yeah.
That's okay. But every time she does
that's when you know I'm serious. Like, I'm not swimming in any open water with you.
Yeah. You know what you should do, though, definitely when you're going to go to Costa Rica? Is rent the quads or ATVs and go through the jungle. They have one where you first drive through the villages, then they take you into the jungle to like a waterfall.
Yeah.
And then they give you like pineapples.
Right.
And
one of my challenges is
you will love
climb a volcano too.
Climb a volcano.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is gonna be.
Don't you have to like train your lungs for that one though? If
How does that work?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have a close friend right here, Jacqueline. She's the head of group fitness at Anatomy. The director of group fitness.
Okay.
Yeah, she's done most of the mountains in the world. So tomorrow I'm taking a class. I was going to bring it up to her.
So you'll specifically train for that?
Yeah, probably elevation. I'm assuming.
That's incredible. I see. There it is again.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. You live such a motivational life.
A fun life, honestly, because you really are just giving yourself all these challenges. But I feel like so far since I've known you, you're like killing it. So
I think the part that needs to be shared is that like I was obsessed with doing all the things that didn't give me life. So I was really good at going out.
Yeah.
I was really good at smoking hookah.
Yeah.
I was really
Wait, what was
good
your
at,
flavor? I just want to know.
But I think the idea is that what I also learned, and I was listening to one of my favorite, I'm so thankful and blessed. Over the summer, I have this one contract, I guess you would say. I go to Greece for a week. And one of the characters that was a part of this trip was Mel Robbins. And Mel, she's coming out with a book now called The Leptin Theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she speaks about addictions and kind of, there's just a clip I just heard recently of her and speaking about it. And she's like, she talks about when you're obsessed with something and you want to change it, you can't remove it, you just need to replace it.
Yeah.
And so then it hit me, I'm like, that's what I did. I replaced all the activities that I loved that didn't help me with the things that are now pouring into me.
Yeah.
And I also then realized I was really good at finding dopamine really fast by like paying for hookah, by going out, by like doing all the things that then later would give me pain, which would like waking up with headaches and just being lethargic.
Miserable.
Many
Eating,
depressions.
And you're eating crappy.
Yeah, I had like guilty pleasures no one knew. I was like Jack in the Box, double cheeseburger, curly fries.
The tacos.
Oh my God.
I would eat that,
buttermilk
but I would
sauce.
eat that. No one knew that. I would eat that by myself at like 2, 3 in the morning in my room. Like just little things. And then now I'm like, dude, like right before we got here, I got 45-minute workout in, got the cold plunge in. I'm running. I started
we definitely are going to post
today.
that video you sent or that photo you sent us though on this podcast. So,
So
in fact, if you have befores and afters of when you were drinking to like where you're at now, I really want to post that.
I'll show you one that I remind myself of.
Because the difference on that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It motivates me.
Well, you can talk to somebody and look at somebody who is in the fitness world and they're religious about it and they're treating their body how it is intended to be treated, and you can see it all over them. I mean, I'm looking at him, he looks awake, alive, his color is fantastic.
But it's fun to see his progress though, over the months.
That's crazy. I mean, you didn't look bad there by any means,
you
but
have
the
to send that
difference
so
is
the
substantial.
viewers can see this because
send that
to me
her
that's
poster.
important. It's real. Like you're not, cheating and taking Ozempic and all
No,
this shit.
this is a lifestyle change.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And that's a true lifestyle. Like you're climbing a volcano.
I know.
And swimming in oceans and open water.
Yeah, I did a lot of things last year, and that was again. I told myself I needed to keep myself busy because my natural when you're so in something, your habits innately, when it falters, you just go to them, right?
Right.
And so change becomes a lot more difficult. And so my habits of wanting to go out or wanting to be seen, I think that was another big part of being in the LA scene of like. I was placing myself in rooms just to be there, or network, which I was, but also like the bottom of it was it didn't serve me. It wasn't positive.
It's like almost like an empty feeling though, because none of the friendships and when you're out is just a scene. It's just a scene. It's just a party scene. Do these people really, truly, genuinely care about you? No, they're just getting fucked up.
Right.
And the optics are fun. The optics are the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and that's, I think a lot of people chase that. But what I've noticed, especially living in Miami, you can notice the ones that are really doing the work and actually doing the things and how much more you want to be around them and how much more seriously you take them.
Right.
You know, someone like you, I'm going to listen to you speak and I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to ask you questions. I respect you. And I think there's a big difference nowadays as well with so many people on social media. And you know, this is what you do. The optics have become a little bit more obsolete, which is kind of nice. You see them.
You guys, not to change the subject, but I have to talk about this just because for when I lived in LA for 12 years.
Oh, and
you're living in LA now.
And we're running out of time, so we need to get this in.
How
this is
crazy is the fires right now and devastating. Like, I have about, I would say, 5 friends that lost their homes. Like,
you're right in the middle of it.
Like, you got out just, you know.
I was lucky where I was here for the holidays.
Yeah.
And I just stayed. Messaging again, where I was
just
New Year's Eve. There was someone who I had dinner with, how I had dinner with her was another story in itself. It's a group dinner.
Yeah.
And I asked her, what are you doing for New Year's? And she said, my family's in town to stay with my family. And she said, what about you? And I had an offer to go to Colombia. A friend of mine was going to go to Tulum, Bali. So I'm explaining to her I'm undecided. You know, for the past couple of years, I've been really making adventures. Like last year we were in Dubai. And she looks at me and she's like, where's your family? And I was like, actually, every 4 years, my entire family's together.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Here.
And she looks at me for Christmas and they're staying for New Year's. And she looks at me dead in the face. I just met this girl. And again, messaging. And she says to me, why would you go anywhere else?
Yeah. And boom.
Yeah. And I looked at her and I go, you're right, I'm staying.
Yeah.
And she wasn't anyone impactful in my life. I met her that night.
Just that night.
Fast forward, the week after, Dan was having the vision board party.
Yeah, I'm so sad I missed that.
He has that event. I invite her to come. My older brother's there.
Oh, funny.
And he looks at her, he's like, is this your friend? I go, yeah. He's like, I'm her real estate agent.
Really? What a small world.
But then later on, it hit me when I was telling her the story. She's like, hey, what'd you do for New Year's? I was like, I took your advice. She's like, really? I was like, yeah, actually my entire family, because of me, came together. She's like, how so? And I was like, well, my grandma was going to be alone, so I stayed with her. And my sister's pregnant, she wasn't planning to go. So then my sister came with her boyfriend to my grandmother's.
Wow.
And then my cousin, who was asking me, hey, what are we doing in Miami? Like, come to my grandmother's, came with her boyfriend. And then because we had those family members here, my uncle with kids then showed up.
Holy cow.
My brother Giovanni, who's now my brother who's a real estate agent, I text him and a picture of the family. He goes, wait, you guys are all together?
I'm coming too.
Yeah, no, he was like, and I was like, my aunt was asking for him. He shows up.
Aww.
And then while
Did
we're
he
having
surprise
this
everybody?
while we're having this conversation, he looks at her and he goes, you're the reason we all got together for New Year's.
Wow.
I love that.
That's special.
Yeah, I told the butterfly effect.
It is. And once you
and then my uncle showed up. Like it was like I had
that's
videos on,
crazy.
and it just started happening, and I'm like the synergy and the alignment.
Yeah.
When you're doing the right things, it kind of
it just happens.
Yeah.
But it's good
And
that you
then
guys
look
all
what
have
happened.
a family, because
Now you're with your family, and then these fires start. Yeah.
So then I'm with my family, and then I'm here. The fires start. I'm thinking like again, it's like gonna be a quick fire.
Yeah,
you know,
it
fire's
happens.
happening in LA.
Absolutely.
It'll be out, and yeah, it just kept growing, and it almost felt fake. I just kept thinking, I was like, this is like I was lucky enough where. Or I should say lucky, or I was thankful enough to go to North Carolina. I went with a group. And
yes, you did, which was incredible. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, so I did that, and so I was like, I got to experience a taste of something horrific happening. Obviously, different types of magnitude. You know, a lot of people died in that one. This one's a lot of people lost their homes, but still there's grief and pain.
Yeah, there's for sure.
And it's places that I recognize and know.
Yeah.
This is your home.
Yeah, like Malibu. I go there a couple times a year. Palisades, I had friends that lived there.
Yeah.
And then it became real when the Hollywood Hills started.
Yeah,
and
Running Canyon.
Right.
I mean, I was going hiking there literally almost every other day.
3-hour difference. I'm laying in bed.
Yeah.
And a friend texted me, hey, I heard about Hollywood. Do you want me to go get your things? So I'm like, time out.
Like what?
Yeah, I'm like, what? I literally go, what are you talking about? And so I call her. She's like, there's a hill, there's a Hollywood. And I'm like, nah, we're good. And then my building sends me a text. And I'm like.
Were you evacuated?
No, so when you look at the map zoning, I saved it because I couldn't believe it either.
Of course you were.
We were the block. So it's like if we were across the street.
Wow.
So I'm in front, I'm on Hollywood and Vine. In front of us was asked to evacuate.
Yeah.
And then we were good. Yeah, we're 4 blocks inland, so I just don't know. But at that point, we didn't know, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, this is insane. Like,
insane.
To me, it doesn't look real. It looks like a bomb went off.
People woke up and they had to just leave, you know, with nothing.
With nothing that goes on their
back. So the fact that my friends calling me like, hey, what do you want me? And I'm like, if she were to get a box of items, what would I put it in?
Yeah.
And I just immediately went to like the basic stuff for me that are family stuff, which is my grandfather left me a ton of stuff, like his paperwork, his like, I just got a booklet. This is super cool. He loved poems. So I just got the book. My brother gave it to me. Of all the poems he ever written in there. So I was like, think of the basic stuff.
And these are things that are like, that's not replaceable.
Yeah.
You're not getting another one.
Right. And then so I was like, everything else, I'm looking at the suitcase that I thought was going to be for a week in Miami or 2 weeks. I'm looking at it on the floor.
Like, is this all I'm going to have?
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, I was like, again, just grounding myself. I was like, well, other people don't even have that choice.
I know.
So I literally told my friend, I go, look, if things go away, they go away. I was like, thank you for like doing this. I appreciate it. And then I'm following up. I'm anxious for like a couple hours, like what's going on, and thankfully, you know, that was handled. No one.
But imagine the people that even lost their homes were, you know, like they're already retired and they're barely living off of Social Security and
ages ago.
Or
and
that,
to rebuild them is going to be astronomical. You've got so many insurance policies that were canceled. And what will they do? I don't even know if anybody
just
can even fathom.
Alone.
I don't think there's.
I was like.
There's no way, even me thinking about it, I'm lost. I can't even imagine the grief and pain and being one of those people that has to sit and calculate this in their mind. It's absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And something came to me while I was at church yesterday. I said, even though there's destruction, it creates an opportunity for construction of love and hope.
Yes, it does.
So
like all the people donating and stuff
so
that
people
I saw.
come together, community coming together.
Yeah.
A lot of resources. So here in Miami, Victoria Shabazz, she has a community center called IRL. And so she's made that a drop-off location. It's like here.
I didn't know that. Here in
Miami.
Miami.
And we'll post the link to that for you guys if you're in the Miami area, if you want to get more information on that.
And then something I'm doing this weekend is I had a friend of mine, because I've had a lot of people, hey, I have my place, they could open. I was like, well, that's not realistic. Like, because you're taking a family for a week, but then how do you tell them to leave? You don't.
I know.
You can't.
So that's not realistic.
That's
so
hard.
I said to myself, what's realistic? Which is like supplies and money. And so I had a friend of mine post about it. He texted me, hey, I want to do something. I was like, let's put a fitness class together. So this weekend, I'll be posting on my social. We're going to get a group together at a gym in Hialeah. It's 44 people for the class, $25 a head. I'm going to find a family in need. And we're going to collect money and directly send it to them.
Wow, that is a great idea.
And then the goal, I posted about it, and then the gentleman earlier, late last night, I should say, reached out to me and he's a 6-person gym. He's like, hey, I want to do a class. So I'm going to be posting things and initiatives of people here locally. Like, again, they're working instead of paying for the class. It's directly going to a family I'm going to find. And again, I've learned through doing all these charity donations and organizations that it's not the dollar, it's the impact and where your heart's coming from, and it's not the amount. And so I'm guessing it's 44 people. I think that's a little under $1,500. $25.
So much to somebody who just
better
does
than
everything.
it's better than not having it all.
And the domino effect it will have when you do these things. You'll inspire other people to do them as well.
And even if that dollar, I've learned, because I used to be I'm thankful that I'm next to people like Dan and many others that donate 6 figures.
I know.
And then I feel like, what is my $100 going to do?
So much.
Wait, that does have an impact.
So much.
Because the amount may not be lucrative, but that $100 may give you a couple days of food. That $100 may give something that they didn't have. And so, those fitness classes are going to be cool. I'm really excited for that.
I was seeing also people were making even actual home meals for all the firefighters.
Yeah.
I thought that to me was out because they truly are putting their life on the line.
Right.
Who knows how much sleep they're getting, how many hours they're working, like.
There's a ton of
I
LA.
love
when
that.
you Google, there's a lot of like LA restaurants. There's many LA restaurants and churches that are providing and supplying. But I've realized that for you, if you're someone that's like on the fence of how to do it, I would say with the power of social media today, you could just search it. And also that if you can't give money, I say you can give your time.
Yeah.
And so if you do feel compelled and you're saying to yourself, hey, I want to fly on over there, and you could join a church real fast, and they'll put you to work.
They need so much help.
That's actually a really good idea.
They need so much help. They need every resource possible. There's I have a 501c3 that works with first responders and police officers back in the Midwest. And here's one thing I always tell people. Even if I have a 5,000 person following and each person gives $5, that is a substantial amount of money. So and we get met with that is like, but I feel silly. Like I feel like people can see that I only gave $5.
Yeah.
I don't care, and neither do they. And no one who is a good person is looking at the fact that you can only do $5.
You know what I just thought of right now, like right this second, is all the girls that are making $100K a month on OnlyFans and stuff. They should actually, do something where they're telling their fans, hey, if you give me, $5, $10, $20, whatever, for this photo is going to be donated to whoever
That's
needs
a good
it
idea.
in LA. I don't know why I just thought about that, but I did.
I think that's a really cool thing.
I really think I should reach out to all my girlfriends I know that are on OF to do that.
Yeah.
But another thing that I wanted to talk about, especially because, all us three were religious, but I literally the other night was so upset when I saw that there are people that are so just mentally off where they're looting on people's homes when they're already hitting rock bottom, and then someone has to go and take their valuables and the stuff that they worked so hard for or had for years and go and loot these homes as their home's burning down. Like, it literally made me tear up and lose a little bit of sleep over that because I just got so angry. Like, where are your morals? Is your life that bad where you have to go and loot all these people's homes that they're losing everything? They won't even have a fucking shirt to put on their back.
And you're in their house.
And it just makes me be like, who are these people? Like,
catastrophic
it makes me really
events.
sad. It makes me really sad.
They do that. They bring out the most beautiful part of humanity, and they bring out the most disgusting part of humanity. And
I personally like to focus on the good. I say to myself, look, things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
If
it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that people will go that low.
Yeah, and I think that it's good to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Then it's good. I don't know. I really place myself and say, put people on. I give them grace. And I say, maybe that person who is looting, benefit of the doubt. I'm not advocating for that activity, and I'm not advocating for someone to be doing this. But then I say to myself, is like, how bad is he going? What is he going through right now?
So bad.
Yeah, and so then I always like to look at the root of things and then take it from there.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with that, and I don't think that's okay, and I do believe that's real pain.
It's a good way to think of it, though.
But I think to myself, it's like, hey,
it's healthier. Because my heart was racing
because
as I
what
watched
happens
this.
is there's not bottom line education or some form of real consequence. It's going to continue to happen.
And God, it's a godly thing, and that's what God wants us to do. And I'm extremely political, I'm a very, very political person. I'm very conservative, and everything was politicized with this, as it always is in any major, catastrophic event. But to me, I even put something out that's like, Jesus, God, they don't want you using that mindset right now. They want you praying. Everybody needs to just be praying and praying and looking for the helpers and seeking out the good, because right now it's so easy to look at the bad and be so angry, and it's so easy for the devil to stir up that feeling within inside of you, and that hatred and that hatred towards those looters. And that hatred is still the same hatred that equates to it's the same thing. So we need to, and it's hard. I had to really pray about that and dig deep to dismiss those feelings, because I know that's what Satan wants, is for us to look at those terrible people and hate them and be angry and be mad, instead of looking at the people who are coming in and doing things that are helpful. It takes, and that's what helped me, maybe it'll help you, is that I reverse that trigger and I put it in motion of, you know what, I'm going to focus on the people like you guys who are going to, offer places for resources and people to give back and help these other people. I'm going to give my energy to that, because then maybe if we all do that just a little bit, we try, that energy will shift, and then we can manifest.
That's a really good way to think.
Good things go back into Los Angeles, because let's be honest, it's one of the most incredible, wonderful places on.
It's a beautiful city. I also think when you're reflecting on that, I think it's important to realize, like, what power do you really hold?
Yeah.
And so if you were an individual, let's say, that had power over the police and had power over controlling crime, then you definitely should be the person that's attacking that.
For sure.
But if you're an individual, for me, like myself, I'm a citizen. I'm in Miami. I have no authority or have no weight of not only political power but like police power. Me feeding that beast doesn't help anything.
It's doing nothing.
Yeah, actually nothing. If anything, it's taking more space from the chance to serve people.
That's a great way to look at it.
And so it's like, it's having that real self-talk of like, if you are that person of power or significance or relationship within the police department and or someone who has a private security company, you definitely should get involved.
Yeah, get involved.
But if you're not,
in a righteous way.
right, correct,
Yeah.
and solving the problem, right, which is the
solve the
hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
But if you're not, then you should be the one reaching out to families, creating resources, bringing supply. Like, be that. I posted it the other day. It's like, be the light in someone's darkest day.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it
that.
doesn't need to be something lucrative. It just may be you're the person that brings them water that day.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Littlest
you're the
effort goes
person
such a long way.
that introduces them to someone that then leads them having a house. Like, that motion of like headspace to have that conversation, I think is usually really hard, that most people don't want to face. But it's also then going back to the thing of like, you can't change it, so why are you even like in it? Like, why, you know what I mean? Like, getting yourself involved in something that
it sucks because sometimes with those people, I wish I could just go there, catch them in the act, and like have a 30-minute conversation with them and dig deep into their life and soul and give them a hug and like try. You know what I mean? I want to heal.
You want to heal
because, like you said, we don't know how they were raised, what they've been through, what their financials are, like situation is like. So sometimes I really do want to just help them.
Absolutely.
Like, shake them and be like, there's hope.
I love that about you.
You know?
And that's what we need more of. And I think that this is an opportunity for Americans to get it together and heal.
Yeah.
We have to start somewhere, and holy shit.
And that's a good thing.
LA just burned down. I mean,
we gotta be positive.
What is going on? And where are, okay, we can point fingers and blame all day long and continue down this path, or we can sit down and talk to people that we have different point of views and we share different perspectives with, and we can start getting to the core of how do we heal? How do we fix it?
Now?
Because this can't keep happening. These events and this, and FEMA being this or FEMA being, and we're hating this guy and we're hating that. We're all feeling those feelings, but we need to start speaking about how to correct it moving forward. And I hope that the new administration, I believe in them. I think it will move in that direction, but in the meantime, I think we just share the resources that you have. We'll keep posting anything that he comes to us while you're there, and if you and Dan do anything and we can help, we're down.
Yeah, well, even another drop-off location is Rumble, West Hollywood.
Oh yeah, Rumble.
So Rumble.
Rumble, West Hollywood. Okay.
West Hollywood.
They're donating a lot.
What do they need? Do you know off the...
It's one of those things where it's
gonna change.
Yeah, no, I'm saying their houses are gone, so it's
it's
literally anything and everything.
Yeah, even if it's like bags,
the
like
basic
backpacks
necessities
and
of like toiletries are the big ones, obviously, and
clothing,
then,
blankets,
everything. Like there's no
shoes.
It's beyond the type of destruction that you only see in movies, right?
Do you feel ready to go back?
No.
Are you worried about how that will impact you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your advice would be to everybody else who hasn't been back home since the holidays and seen this?
Well, I feel very, very, very blessed to have even the headspace to say, hey, I don't need to go back.
Yeah.
Whereas in people, that's their home. Like there's a couple of people I check in on that I know that there's no other home.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, how you doing? Like, because they're in it. Like, you're in it. If you're living there, you're in it.
You're in it.
And so I think for me, I thought about it actually today during my workout. I'm in a place in my life where it's like, it's the smallest things that I'm just like, man, I feel good. Like I'm living my life, and not only my life. I feel like I'm just living a good life.
Yeah.
And so I was at Anatomy Miami Beach. They have an outdoor turf. And I was underneath the sun most of the workout, and I just started doing my ab workout in front of the sun. And I was just like, I have the chance to do this in front of the sun.
Yeah.
And I was like, will I have the same experience in LA right now? I was like, definitely not. Because
everything is true though.
Another thing, you
just don't breathing that air is
just wouldn't even think of that in the moment. How lucky you are.
But that whole energy when you land is probably you're gonna feel it. It's gonna be sad energy in there.
Mel Robbins also brought up something great. She was on Jay Shetty's podcast, and I want to share it. I think it's so big. It's like when you have friendships, one of the levels that she believes is a catalyst to friendships is energy.
Yeah.
It's the third one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And so it's like she used the reference of you're someone who's not drinking, you're with a group of friends that used to drink all the time. The energy's off. Yeah. Because you're just not doing the same things. And so I think in that regard, for sure, if you're entering into a space that's not recovering or overcoming something still to this day, you're going to be faced with that. And so, I don't, right now it doesn't feel right to place myself in that, right? But also being said, I also know I'm not just here, I'm like, right when we finish the podcast, I'm doing something with my grandmother.
And you're with your,
my sister, I'm so excited and blessed. My sister's pregnant, and so like now I'm going to be an uncle, and so I'm doing like, I just saw yesterday, my uncle brought her like a baby thing, and I'm like, I'm a part of that, and so
that's positive.
Having an awareness and having, I think, sadly enough, the destruction that's happening in LA is a message for me that I need to be in Miami right now. And by being in Miami yesterday, I had the most wholesome Sunday yesterday.
Good.
I had my grandmother who made me breakfast and asked me why I'm still not married.
Oh,
cute. I surprised my cousin at his basketball game.
Yeah.
I went to church with my mom. I went to coffee and chill with 2 close friends of mine, and then had an amazing lunch outside, and it was like, I know now.
That's a good day, honestly. That
that.
sounds
It was
like
a
a
great
good
day.
day.
Life's so
We
short.
all need good days like
Life
that.
is so short, and those are
Yeah.
the most wholesome, giving days. I love
But
that.
then just go back to the things like those are the things that are serving me in my life, that's giving me life.
Yeah.
And I would challenge anyone that's like listening or watching is like, really look at your life and say to yourself, what are the things, and you only really know, like I knew there was some dark stuff that for me that I know weren't serving me, like the hookah that I thought was fun, and socially that I would lose my friends, and then like, wait, no, like I'll find the same type of energy just doing the things that help me, that serve me. If like, the other day I ran with a friend he's one of the co-founders of Coffee and Show. We ran 5 miles on the beach. And then it's like right after that, going to have healthy foods, have meals that fuel you, that give you life. And I think for 2025, everyone, that's what your focus should be, of like, let go of those things, but replace them with things that now, there's so much science and social media that if you don't know, you can just Google it or Instagram or ChatGPT it.
ChatGPT it.
And you'll find the answers immediately. And then it becomes up to you, your decision, if like, you want to change your life for something great.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, we are so sorry we held you way over
It's
time.
okay.
This was awesome.
He has to take care of his grandma.
And we will definitely
I feel so bad right
leave
now.
you guys with that message, because I think it's one of the best ones you're going to get this year. And we're so excited to be back. Melissa and I are still very focused on bringing you guys some awesome guests, such as Roger today. Thank you so
Roger,
much for
please,
being
tell the audience where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Content CEO. We'll tag him in the comments and follow, do all the things. Thank you so much.
Cheers to our non-alcoholic
We're
beverages
such
today.
an awesome guest. It was great talking to you.
Talking to you.
Cheers.